Hi, everybody. This fine afternoon, I just wanted to come and do a vlog, and I'm just doing this all the time because it's just easier for me to do. It's just easier for me to do in between trying to get pregnant and go to the doctor 1 million times a week. This is easier for me to do and still kind of keep my vlog going. Or just see some writing from me once in a while. So, got to keep that up. I'm coming today because I have a vlog. I just want to talk about some things. Something I don't go, like I say, I don't roam the internet much, and there are not a lot of places I go. But there was an article in one of my favorite blogs, Beyond Black and White. Love the blog, and the woman who runs it, Kristen, love her too. And there was a blog this week. Uh, it was a question of the week from a young woman who had been a little over eager dating someone, and I have a a kind of connection to it, a link to it on this blog, so you can go over there and kind of see it and read it, or you may have already read it and stuff and know what I'm talking about. A little overeager after 2 weeks of dating someone. And that was the standard information there, and stuff. And it was long, kind of a letter was long. And she was explaining a lot of things and letting people know a lot of things about what happened. And kind of the gist of what I got from it was that one, well, she was just way too accessible, way too early. 2 weeks and you're talking to somebody twice a day, and you're thinking it's a relationship when it's really not, and all this kind of stuff, and just kind of making assumptions about stuff. And but there were other little red flags in there besides, okay, you're way too accessible. You need to be at least dating a couple of people at once, as Patty Stanger calls it, a pair and a spare, and there's a couple other names for it too. You need to be dating a couple of people so you don't get so overly invested in one person that after 2 weeks somebody kind of leaving and saying something, oh, I'm gone, and you're so heartbroken, you're so devastated, and it's just the end of the world and all this kind of stuff. Really, 2 weeks? No, who cares? Bye. And if you're dating some other people and trying to, kind of figure out who it is that you want to start a relationship with or move into a relationship with, then you don't have to be so overly invested in just one person who's worthy of your time. Because really, you're the prize as the woman. But there were some other things that kind of red flagged me, and I want to talk a little bit about black women and dating interracially. I am a big advocate of black women exercising their options if they want to. If you want to date interracially, I'm 100% behind you. Trying to make sure that you have whatever tools you can figure it out, not all freaked out. You know that you can move ahead and just date interracially because you want to. I'm behind you 100%. It's not even a question. What I'm not behind is kind of this maybe push to have women date interracially that maybe aren't ready to date anyone. And I see this quite a bit. Well, just go into dating interracially is not going to solve any problems for you, any love problems, any relationship problems, anything. And the woman in this letter was talking about she had trust issues and all that stuff. Dating is not going to solve your trust issues, okay? It's not. It's best, probably going to make them worse. And tell you the truth, you might want to get over the trust issues before you start dating. And I'm not a person that does the date thing. I did a whole series, kind of vlog series about online dating and all this stuff. That's not really my thing, although I did that series just to kind of let people know that online dating was a good option and you don't have to be freaked out about online dating. But I'm not really a date person. I'm not really a date expert. There's a bunch of date experts out there. And even over at Beyond Black and White, there's a bunch of date articles and all that kind of stuff, which is great. My thing is, and I really want for people to get what they need before they start dating. And then once you start dating, how do you build a relationship? It would be wonderful if I could have, a bunch of black women who are out there dating and mating with all kinds of men. But it's no use to have a bunch of black women out there dating people and they got a bunch of problems and they got a bunch of, issues and stuff. It's no use to having somebody out there in a relationship. They don't know how to maintain a relationship, and stuff because they've never had a good one. All theirs have been dysfunctional. They're dysfunctional and they got issues. What the hell good is it for me to tell them, oh yeah, run out here and date people when you're not ready to do all that, when you're mentally not at the point that you want to do all that. And some of the things that the young lady said in that letter just kind of put me off in a red flag. And I started to think, even though I started to say, well, you maybe need to date a couple of people, I started to think maybe she doesn't need to be dating anyone at all because she's got her own set of issues. As much as women are doing when they talk about black women's empowerment and all that kind of stuff and dating black women, dating interracially, as much as we're trying to fend off and fight off enemies on the outside, people who are mad about us dating interracially and things like that and have issues with it. One of the things that we don't usually talk about is the enemy within. And I'm not just talking about, something about, the dating interracially, but the issues that many black women have coming from the black community. Issues of trust, issues of rejection, issues of codependency, issues of not loving themselves, especially in the case of many women, black women who are dark-skinned black women and have been talked about and berated on many levels by the black community and stuff. Those sorts of issues that are going to come into the interracial relationship with her that she hasn't resolved at all. I am not advocating that a woman start dating somebody and hope that those issues go away. My thing is advocating for women and letting them know, you know what, maybe you need to not date. Maybe you need to read a book, see a therapist, do something about yourself. People were on there talking about, well, if you had pride as a black woman, if you had time, if you, where do you get this from? What are you talking about? If somebody's been berated, if somebody's having trust issues, they've been berated. If somebody's this eager to have any man after 2 weeks, she don't have no pride. She don't have no confidence. And so where is she supposed to get this from? What? Out of the sky? Is she supposed to drop out of the sky? You have to build those things. There are many black women that don't have any self-esteem left after being beat down. And so those things have to be built up again. And so one of the things I do is when I talk about emotional abuse and when I talk about narcissistic personality disorder, when I give these books and things like that, when I'm going to talk about the book about self-compassion, it's to hope that black women start to build their self-esteem that has been knocked down to nothing. Start to build who they are and have pride in who they are. There's somebody telling you a story about them being so eager for a man after 2 weeks they have made a relationship in their mind that doesn't even exist, and they're texting him and they're calling every night and they're desperate, 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 needy. You can't tell her something about, oh, just get some confidence and get some self-esteem and somehow it'll just magically come together. You have to get that from somewhere. And there's no use in us telling black women to date anybody, and when it comes to when it comes to interracial dating, if they are not prepared for a relationship or to love themselves, you can't go into a relationship and you're not fulfilled with yourself. You don't feel good about yourself. All you do is just draw people who are users and abusers and manipulators when you go in like that. When you go in looking for completion, you already have to be complete. And there are a lot of incomplete black women out here. I'm not as worried. Men can do whatever it is that they need to do. Women need to get some pride and they certainly need to get some self-esteem, but you have to give them some resources and some tools and some information on how to get that doesn't magically appear. Okay. And for this woman who obviously had issues, trust issues, she had issues with her dark skin, so she was having issues of inferiority with herself. Yeah, fussing all day and whatever is great, but until she sees herself in a different way, she's just going to end up kind of with the same situation over and over again and possibly attracting an abuser who will just kind of, as sociopaths do, be really charming and sweep her off her feet, and she won't know what have happened. Next thing you know, she's in a relationship being codependent on an abuser and stuff. So that happens all the time. Um, I just wanted to say this because I wanted to say, I don't know about anybody else's blogs, and I know people talk about, makeup and clothes and your hair and this and that. All those things are great, and they're great for, kind of helping you feel better about yourself. But people who really have no self-confidence, no self-esteem, no amount of clothes or makeup or hair doing or whatever is going to make them okay without the sort of mental thing that they need to have in their own minds, and stuff. Codependent people are not going to magically just not be codependent. Codependency is something that, is kind of ingrained in people and stuff. And there are many people who are codependent and end up in really awful relationships because of their issues of codependency and stuff. This woman who was 27, who probably, as it said, probably should have known better. But you know that something's wrong when you're that old and you're that needy and you're that desperate. 27 is a good time to be. 27 is prime time for women. Men find women the most attractive at like 28 years old and stuff. But you're grasping for anything, for anybody to love you, and when they don't, you blame it on things like they're leading you on, or you blame it on things like, well, he doesn't like women with dark skin, or stuff like that. Your inferiority complex, because that's what you're used. You're used to rejection, so you're just, you just use whatever rejection you've had in the past, when in your own community or with your own family and stuff. So my thought is there needs to be something, and I feel a gap in, because people just want to talk about other people and how other people are hating on you and stuff, which is true. There are people, but what about you hating on yourself and stuff? How do you solve that? How do you solve those issues? How do you, once you solve that, how do you go out and make a really good relationship for yourself? I don't really care, who you're in a relationship with. I just want people in a good relationship. But I don't want to send a bunch of dysfunctional women out there and tell them, well, once you get into a relationship, it'll be okay and you'll be all right and you'll feel great about yourself and all this stuff, when they won't, when they're so incomplete and they're having so many issues of their own, that a relationship will just exacerbate that, just make it worse, and you end up drawing people to you. And remember what I said before, you don't draw what you want, you draw who you are. And so you end up drawing who you are, and you end up in this really dysfunctional, awful relationship. Well, what's the good of being in any relationship, interracial or not, if it's really not, if it's really not the relationship for you, if you aren't the person you need to be going into the relationship? It's no good for me to tell you to go into a relationship. It's no good for me to tell you that you need to be, dating interracially, and you really don't like yourself, or you really are just kind of desperate, trying to fill a hole for something that's incomplete that happened to you when you were a child. I want to build you up as a person. I try to build you up as a person, and stuff, and give you some tools to help you sustain a good relationship, than throw you out there and just tell you, get some new clothes and do your hair and put on some makeup and it's going to be all good for you. That's not how it works, and stuff. If you feel self-confidence and if you feel good and complete about yourself, all the rest of that stuff will just kind of fall together, and stuff. But I think it's a missing piece, and maybe I just decided I want to address that missing piece. This reading that woman's letter just made me think, good Lord, there are people out here who are having really deep issues, and they're trying to date interracially. I don't know, thinking maybe that will, once they get a man, or once they get this man interracially, once he accepts me, that somehow this will make all the pain of the past it will make everything better and it will make me complete, when that is so not true. And so I just wanted to make a mention of it, and I just wanted to comment of it. It's just, self confidence and self esteem are not things you grab out of the air. Those things have to be built. And, there are, lots of books, and if you can afford therapy, there are therapists and people for you to, figure this out. You're not crazy when you go to a therapist. I wish people would stop using that term. You're not crazy. You're just looking for tools to help you, because there's something in your life you don't know how to solve. You don't know what to do about it. And you're looking for tools to help you with that. That's what it can do. And for all the women out there who are thinking about interracial relationships, but know that they have other issues to resolve, I would suggest that you resolve those, or try to get those resolved before you go out there and you try to drag somebody into a relationship with you, or you go out there and you draw someone who's going to end up abusing and manipulating you because you feel so bad about yourself, or you're codependent, or whatever it is that you've got going on and stuff with issues. You just have to make sure that you're trying to, you're the best, so you can draw the best and stuff. So, as much it is about people talking about enemies on the outside, I think it's important for Black women to also talk about their own enemies that may be on the inside, their own demons that they may be trying to work out and stuff. And so I'll be talking about this a little more later, and some other things. And also talking about, once you get into a relationship, how do you sustain a good relationship? What are some of the things that you do to try to sustain a good relationship and stuff? It takes work and stuff. And so it'd be a good thing to know, how do you sustain a good relationship, good for marriage, once you're out there and you are dating and you find someone. That's important. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.